Good damn morning, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. The feds are not fucking around, people. Last month, Trump signed that executive order protecting federal buildings and monuments and statues and all that other stuff that these crazy little fucking children on their tantrum want to tear down. So, of course, a hotbed for this granola-headed dirt fucker activity, Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon is like the vice president of dumb fucks. If California ever falls, Portland will come right in and take their spot and won't miss a damn beat. So now the feds are there protecting federal shit like they're supposed to. I like to call them the Federal Portland Punk Patrol, because they're out there tear gassing, pepper spraying, and arresting these assholes. And you know what? Nobody should be shocked. Nobody should be surprised. Because when you destroy people's property, somebody's going to come talk to you about it. You can't do that. That is against the rules. See, if somebody would have taught you this shit as a child and enforced rules, general good behavior in society, this wouldn't be a problem. Because there would be a little voice in your head instead of that little voice telling you, yeah, man, throw that brick through the federal building, man. Instead of that stupid ass voice telling you that, the voice should have been telling you, don't do that shit. That's not your property. You could get arrested. You could get in trouble. That's wrong. That's what your voice should be telling you. Not, hey, man, let's get some more patchouli oil and play some SEPA, man. What the fuck? See how important good parenting is? You got to give your kid basic skills to get along on the playground of life. And these little deep V-neck, soft handshake pussies did not get that. That's why they're throwing their tantrum in the street. But instead of their tantrum being them laying on the floor, banging their fists and kicking their feet like normal kids do, now they're acting that shit out as an adult. And instead of laying on the floor, they're destroying property, smashing bricks, and throwing shit at cops. See, when it happens when it's supposed to, as a child, you can deal with it. But when adults throw tantrums, people get hurt and or killed, and property gets destroyed. Then you have to call in the adults. Then you have to call in the feds to restore order. Because the mayor of Portland is on fucking vacation mentally, and the governor of Oregon is useless. I can't remember what movie it was, but some Western I was watching with my dad, and he said, well, that's about as useful as tits on a bull. That's the governor of Oregon. Fucking useless. You're an appendix. So now that the feds are there doing what they're supposed to do, doing what the mayor and the governor were supposed to do, now they want them out. They're suing the government. Get these people out of here. This is racist. This is Trump's fault. How? Was that Officer Trump leaning on George Floyd? I'm sorry, I thought that was Officer somebody else. I thought Trump was the president and he was thousands of miles away doing presidential shit while that happened. Now, one thing with this George Floyd bullshit, one good thing is that everybody's in agreement. That shit was wrong. That shit was wrong as two left shoes, as my dad would say. But just because it was wrong doesn't mean you can do this. Doesn't mean you can fuck shit up and burn shit. What are you talking about? What plane of existence are you on? This is a no-no. You're lucky they're just using tear gas and pepper spray. I want to see some rubber bullets and bean bags out there. Fuck these people up. You need to go away. Your time here is finished. Your services are no longer needed. I say more feds. You know why I'm not worried about the feds? Because I don't do shit wrong. Bring them on. If the elected officials of these cities don't want to do anything, someone has to. You're still part of America. You're still in the American collective, man. It's still a community, man. You still got to play by the fucking rules. And if you don't want to, somebody's going to make you. Trump's fault. How the fuck is it Trump's fault? It's your fault. You're the mayor of Portland. You're the governor of Oregon. That's your house. I don't blame my neighbor when my house is messy. I tell my kids to come in the room and clean up their own mess. It's not my neighbor's fault. It's our fault. We will clean it up. Fucking ridiculous, man. But you should see the images of those little punks getting zip-tied and cuffed and sprayed. Good. Out there acting a damn fool, throwing a tantrum as a fucking adult. Put that shit away. Go back to, I can't say back to work. You little fuckers probably didn't have jobs in the first place. But wherever you came from, go back. This is a coordinated effort. This is a coordinated effort. But we have to be resilient. We have to be stronger and outlast these punks. Outlast these pieces of shit. Outlast these so-called progressives. If that's progressive, I don't want to be progressive. I want to be degressive. Whatever the opposite of that shit is, that's what I want to be. Like the song said, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. So if doing this shit is right, I'd rather be wrong. That is fucking ridiculous. They're always talking about, well, they militarized the police. Let's see some of that militarization. I want to see some of those tanks out there and those APCs, or maybe they're just PCs because they're not the military. I want to see those personnel carriers out there. When you play like this is what happens. And of course they're shocked, like, why are they sending the feds? Why are you guys destroying shit? Why is your mayor doing nothing? Sitting there with both thumbs up their ass. Come on, bring on the feds. So, of course, we're going to go to some good news. So there were these two ladies, these two LOCs, these two ladies of color, and they went, you remember last week when Mayor de Blasio, one of the most worthless people ever created, the worst mayor New York City has ever seen, he was out there with the general of the slave catchers, special ops leader, Al Sharptongue, you know, the representative for all black folk, the mouthpiece for the black community. What the fuck ever, I don't know whoever made that up. But of course he's out there getting his blessings, and they're painting Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Tower. Ooh. I wonder if Trump can even sleep that night, like he gives a shit. So these ladies were out there doing their duty as patriotic citizens and painting over graffiti, vandalism. They went out there with buckets of black paint and started painting over that Black Lives Matter eyesore. That bullshit, that lie, that terrorist organization slogan. I don't see a problem with that. But of course, that's racist. Oh, hold on, wait. Let me get that race card back. Let me get that back. Put that back right here. Because they're black. So it can't be racist, right? So they're out there pouring the paint on the ground, and they had, I wish they would have brought rollers, but they had gloves on their hands, and they're smearing that shit over, covering up that Black Lives Matter, that certain Black Lives Matter bullshit. And it was funny because you can see the cops kind of like, hey, lady, you wanna, can you, they didn't grab him, they didn't snatch him up, because they probably agreed with what they were doing. So they were going about it as politely as they possibly could. But eventually, they did arrest the women. One cop got hurt. I guess he slipped and fell in the paint. That's fucked up, because that shit looked like it hurt. He fell on his shoulder. Been there. But the two ladies did get arrested. They'll be charged with some low-level bullshit and released. Whatever. I mean, did they technically break some rules? Maybe there'd be some rules about putting that kind of paint, some environmental bullshit they violated. But those ladies should be cheered when they enter and leave the police department. That Black Lives Matter shit is trying to destroy our country. They're attempting to destroy our country. The very country that allows them the freedom to do that shit. You know damn good and well there's countries out there, if you dissent from the government in any way, if you speak ill of the government in any way, the next time we see you could be on the back of a fucking milk carton. You're gone. Hey, where'd so-and-so go? I don't know. They didn't even clean out their desk. They just disappeared. Left their cell phone and their car keys right there. I don't know what happened to them. That's a very real possibility in other countries, not here. Your First Amendment right that is barely still intact is still intact. You are still free to say whatever you want about the government and anything else, as long as it doesn't offend anybody. See, now our Constitution needs to have small print. They wanted to have that fine print. They wanted to have that guy at the end who speaks really fast. Enjoy your First Amendment rights. You can say whatever you want about whoever you want, as long as they're not a person of color and it doesn't offend the liberal agenda. That's what we need to have. That's how they want it. There's no stipulations. There's no fine print with that First Amendment. It just is. You have the right to say what you want, period. But you don't have the right to paint terrorist shit on the pavement, i.e. BLM. I'm sorry, CBLM. Certain Black Lives Matter. Because if your black ass is killed by another black person, nobody gives a fuck. Now, speaking of racism, I'm going to give you a quick story time with Uncle Jericho. I don't believe I've told this story before, but I got like almost 700 videos. Forgive me if I repeat myself. But here's how you handle a situation like that. Now, these fools, if this happened now, and I was so inclined to upload it on the internet, this fool would be fired, the business would be shut down, this man's life would have been destroyed. But this is how we did it in the days before cancel every fucking thing happened. So I used to work for this beer company delivering beer. And so we had what's called the driver's room. And it's where all the drivers came in at the end of the day to do their paperwork, take a load off. They had free drinks in there, because we also distributed Arizona iced tea and some different kinds of bottled water. So there's, free drinks in there. It was just a place to shoot the shit, talk about the crazy shit that we saw out on our route that day. So it's called the driver room for a reason. You might see management stick their head in there every once in a while, but it's pretty much the driver area. So the vice president of the company comes in there. And me and some of my boys were standing around talking shit. And he comes up to me and says, hey, the owner of, I think it was a Quick Stop or something like that. He called today and he said that you did a really good job, blah, blah, blah. I cleaned up some messes that I didn't make, but it was the right thing to do. So I cleaned this stuff up, and everything, did a good job. He calls, gives me praise. That was really nice. He's an Indian dude, right? And so the vice president of the company, he makes a comment like something along the lines of, well, yeah, he only said that about you because you guys are both colored or some shit like that. Some off, for no pun intended, some off-color remark, right? Now, I got thick skin. I got skin thicker than 6 armadillos stacked on top of each other. So it wasn't what he said. It was the fact that he said it in front of my peers. And him being in his position of authority, I didn't think it would be very smart to let this fool have it. Because had he been another driver, I would have stuck that spit up his ass and roasted him in front of everybody until he died. But he said that, and so everybody else is kind of like, oh shit, what you gonna do? What you gonna say? So I took it. I was like, all right, you got me, motherfucker. So a couple minutes later, after guys, man, that's fucked up. I can't believe he said, and he never came out there before. I don't know what brought him out there. I don't know if he was trying to reconnect with the working class or what, but we ain't never seen that fool out there before. So a few minutes later, I go back in his office because I'm like, no, I've always been, I can't be got. You can't get me and then I do nothing. It's just something in me that says, no, I got to make this right. I can't let it go. So I go into his office, I knock on his door, he says, oh, come on in. And I explained to him, like I just said, it's not what you said, it's the fact that you said it in front of my peers and I couldn't respond the way that I wanted to. I couldn't respond to you like you were another driver, like I should have. Then he was like, you know what, I get that, I'm sorry, I'm glad that you came and spoke to me about it. I see what you're saying, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Cool. You see that? That's how grown-ups do it. I had a grievance. I approached him. We talked it out. I didn't run like a little bitch and start calling the local news channel because my feelings were hurt. They weren't. Tougher than that. But what's funny is the next day, after I get back from the route, he calls me in his office. I'm like, oh, shit, what's this about? You know what I mean? It was either he's going to apologize again and make it awkward, or somehow I'm getting in trouble for something. You know, something related to that situation. So I go in his office, I sit down, I was like, what's going on? And he goes, hey, you like baseball? I was like, yeah, it's all right. In reality, I can't fucking stand baseball. I mean, I like playing it, but watching it, that shit's boring. So he says, you like baseball? I'm like, yeah, it's all right. He's like, well, I have 2 extra tickets here to the San Francisco Giants game tonight, and they're right behind home plate. Oh, wow. I said, that's nice. He's like, you want them? And I was like, yeah, I'll take them. Shit, you know, knowing that I'm not going to go. I don't give a shit about baseball. But I had a buddy of mine who was like a diehard Giants fan, so I ended up selling them to him. But it was so funny that he was like, hey, just happen to have these very expensive tickets behind home plate at a baseball game tonight. Would you want to go? That shit was funny, man. But the point of it is, you don't have to get over emotional and fucking dox people and fuck their life up. Handle it like a grown-up. If you're in a situation and you can't handle it behind closed doors, maybe they made it so that situation is impossible, you handle it professionally, like an adult. You don't get mad, you don't fuck their life up, you don't hit them. You know, they're just words. Grow up. But I do want to end this video on a positive note. So yesterday, I'm on YouTube and I see something. I don't know how I came across it. You know how those YouTube rabbit holes can be. So I see this video, and you see some of these reaction videos where it's usually younger people and they're listening to music like these old classics for the first time. So these kids were listening to or watching the video, whatever, of Whitney Houston singing the national anthem in I believe it was the 1991 Super Bowl for the first time. Now, we can argue about this in the comment section if you want, but that's the greatest version of the national anthem that's ever come out of somebody's fucking larynx, okay? Nobody has ever sang the national anthem better than that, period. I've heard that version of that song 1,000 times, and I still get goosebumps. So to watch somebody see this for the first time, I even watched another reaction video of some Scottish dude, and he had chills. So I say that to say this. I recommend that you guys watch that video. Watch Whitney Houston sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. Right at the start, right in the middle of the Gulf War, that air of patriotism, that 9/11 feeling, the way we felt on 9/12, that shit's in the air when you watch this video. Not to mention her talent. I mean, Ain't a female singer out there that can hold her jock strap if she wore one. So I do recommend that you guys watch that. It's a recharge. It shows us that we're going to be all right. America is made of tougher stuff. We had patriotism like that across the board, and we can have it again. So check out Whitney Houston, National Anthem. If you've never seen it, holy shit, grab some tissue. Because her voice is powerful. That is the greatest version of the National Anthem, period. If anybody tells you different, they're lying to you, and you need to cut them out of your life. Now, let me hop in this damn rat race. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because every time it rings, a piece of shit liberal cries. Get your Jericho Green notification tone, link in the description box. Utilize the PayPal link and the Teespring link to get your green gear. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm